It does. You go through winter, you go through spring, you go through summer training, to get to these points. And, you don't get do-overs. So, to have your young men ready to go. And, we sat today and, plan to win. And, what do you guys want to see out of yourselves? And, I think, for us, it's going to be about execution, that practice execution becomes game reality. We've gone against each other for the past 23 days, ones against ones, twos against twos. And on days, defense dominates the offense. And some days the offense hits big plays against the defense. So now it's going from that practice field onto the game field. And, more importantly, and I even told him this morning, I want to see how you handle success. I want to see how you handle adversity. I want to see, can you make adjustments during a game? I want to see how they react after a bad play. I think when you go through September, that's what you're trying to find out. How do we handle when things go right? How do we handle when things go wrong, so we can grow as a team there. So, execution first and foremost, that sense of urgency too, to come out and play each play. And, we talked about, you surrender the outcome. I mean, if you're worried about winning, and you're playing in the first quarter, no, you should focus on that play. And we've talked about that type of process, to take care of what we can do. Do your job each and every play. And if you play hard and play with great attitude for the length of a game, when you walk off the field, the scoreboard will indicate, you get what your work deserves.
You guys had such a successful campaign last year. I'm sure from a team standpoint, you want a lot of that optimism to carry over. But how about from a community standpoint, to be hopeful that, hey, on a Thursday night when we open, we're coming off one of our best seasons in recent years. This is what people should be doing.
Yeah. And again, things that we talk about, it's bigger than ourselves. And, we represent a community, we represent a university, and, we want to make people proud of what we put on the field, how we play the game, how we prepare for the game. And, when the support's there, I mean, it's unbelievable. And our kids were at those basketball games at the end of the year when that place was packed and they're winning. Winning does that. That's what winning does. It gets a community excited. And here, that's what we want to be able to create. We want people to say, man, we're proud of those kids and how they represent this community. And hopefully that drives people into our stands. And, you certainly feel it. When that student section behind the visiting team, when that thing's packed and they're loud, our kids feed off that. So, yeah, we want to create a great environment. It starts with us and putting a good product on the field.
Coach, just talk about the offense. How do you kind of plan on using Dre as he takes over the oil?
No changes. We've been running, we'll run our base plays. And, Dre, last year when Dre was in games, we feel now we got a lot of different running backs. I don't know if we have a running back where I'm going to give them 30 times a game, but we have running backs now that, can carry, if Dre gets his touches and Tyshawn gets his touches, in our run game, in our pass game, on third down, in red zone. I feel real good about our running backs. We don't know them yet because two of them are redshirt freshmen that, have yet to play in a college football game, but we know what Dre can do. And Tyshawn King coming from Northern Michigan, we can watch film and know what he did in a very tough GLIAC conference.
Like the veteran group that you have there, 17 graduate students, just the importance of having those guys and their veteran leadership.
I was sitting at our radio show yesterday, and the growth of those kids, even hearing them, on the radio, you see the maturity, you see the leadership out of them. You see that they've created a brotherhood. And I've always said this, you have to win in the locker room before you can win on the football field. And to know that our guys care about one another, that's what makes me most proud. And that's our kids. We always wanted to be a player-led. I can't go play Thursday night. They got to be the ones on the field. And having them being part of that decision process of everything we do in this program, I feel it. I see it every day. And, it gets me excited. I mean, 7:30 comes on Thursday night. I get excited to see our kids play. They want to go live every day against each other. And I said, hey, when Thursday night comes, guess what? no holds bar. You guys get to go play football. And it's been hard. Spring, fall, sometimes, man, I'm pulling the reins back, because you want to prepare. You want to prepare as fast, physical. And where I seen the maturity of our kids that, I always talk about, you got to get them to run to the edge of the cliff. And if you're any good, those kids better be at the edge of the cliff. And where I've seen the maturity, we're not jumping off it. I'm seeing a kid coming full speed at our quarterback and is able to pull up and not hit our quarterback. But to play with that type of speed in practice, I see we're a better practice team because of it now. And that's where the maturity of having older guys. You got to teach young men how to practice. And to have these guys here for the last 3 years and teaching them how to play. Now, guess what? We can show our younger guys how to practice because they're practicing the right way. So you see it each day, the maturity in those young men. So like I said, come Thursday, I'm excited to see our young men play football. And again, I want to see what they do. I don't want it to be all roses and rainbows. I want to see how they handle when things get really hard. Because in our league, guess what? Things get really hard. And so in the month of September, I want to see as many times when tough situations come up, if we face adversity, how our kids overcome that. Because ultimately, they'll tell you how good of a team we are.
Then you mentioned it's an offense that's become more balanced over time. Just A, do you agree, and B, what identity do you want to see that kind of established?
Yeah, I would, feel great that we can run the football efficiently. That means over 4 yards again. That's what we want to average rushing the football. We've talked about getting the football downfield, and we've seen that we can get the ball downfield. I think even last year, I think in spring ball, I think going into fall camp, and what not only does that prepare our receivers and our quarterbacks, that I feel we have guys downfield, they call them 50-50 balls that, I feel like we should be 60-70-30. When we get a ball in the air, we got to come down with it 60-70% of the time. Not only does that get our offense pushing the ball downfield, and it starts with protection. You got to have protection if you want to get the ball downfield. But not only that, it prepares those corners. Okay, if we got a very good run defensive team, well, what teams are going to do is play action pass and try to go over the top. And, those defensive backs, they're on an island. When defensive lineman makes a mistake, most people in the stands don't see it. When a corner makes, has bad eye discipline, you're going to see it because it's going to be a big play. So to be able to see that each and every day in practice, I think that iron sharpens iron has helped both sides of the football there.
Coach, just talk about Valparaiso, what makes them so special on Thursday, what you're looking for.
They've done it. Coach Fox is an Ohio guy. He went to Defiance. He was 11 years as a defensive coordinator at Dayton. He's taken that program. When we talk about tradition, how about, in their past 3 years, they've had more success in the history of their program. So that tells me they're doing things the right way. They're going to be fundamentally sound. They're smart kids. They know how to win football games. They went 4-4 in that league last year. That's best, like I said, the last 3 years, they're trending in the right direction. They got a quarterback that I think that can throw the football. Their tight ends, have great hands. They got a receiver that can make plays downfield. Their defensive line, all those guys, just like our defensive line, their whole defensive line is back. I look at common opponents. I look at the Dayton game they played last year, and Dayton had to score in the last drive. I look at the Illinois State game, where they went at Illinois State at a night game and were onside kicking down 28-21. And Illinois State, we know, is a great football program. So you look at those things, and like I said, we will prepare for opponents. This time of year, we got to focus in on what we do. We got to minimize our mistakes. Can we ball security? Can we create turnovers? Can we do our job? Can we play fundamentally sound? Can we play with a sense of urgency? Can we play physical? Again, if we focus on what we can do, ultimately, I feel you get what your work deserves. And if we can do those little things, and we talk about the attention to detail, and if we can do that for 4 quarters, I feel good about our kids going in any football game.
Is it part of the reason, Doug, because you don't have tape on? Is
Yeah, I mean, early games, you're looking, then they got new coordinators. Okay, they got an offensive coordinator that's coming in. Okay, where did he work last? So you're digging to see what they could do. They come out in triple option, I'll be a little worried. But and again, our offense plays with one tight end. They play with two tight ends. They play with three tight ends. We'll go no tight ends. So hopefully our defense has seen every look that maybe an offense can go. But they'll game plan based on our defense last year and maybe where we got hurt. They'll go back on game 11 last year against Southern Illinois and see, what successful plays. Here's something that could hurt their defense. And we do the same thing. They got a new defensive coordinator, but their head coach is a defensive coach. So, but that new defensive coordinator might come with a new twist, a new coverage, a new blitz. So, but that's the fun part about football. And we talked this morning. I want to see how our kids can adapt coming off to the sidelines. There was times where they come off sidelines and, they would be fighting with each other, because something happened. That's the growth I want to see out of this team. When you come off, guess what? We got to be problem solvers. As coaches, we got to be problem solvers. As players, we got to be problem solvers. That's what I want to see from this group. And that's the fun thing about playing. Yeah. Don't know what they're going to come out with. Guess what? You better be ready.
How about just the importance of protecting your home field? You've got a veteran group that did a great job of this last year, and obviously they've heard your philosophy. But what do you tell the new guys, the newcomers, about the importance of being good here?
Well, we try to get the newcomers, caught up to everything. And fortunately, those newcomers hopefully don't have to get on the field too early. For us, we love our freshmen. We love our second year guys, and those guys are still developing. They're developing in the weight room, and we got to teach them, what it's like to defend the Ice Castle, what's it like to defend Youngstown. Before we had to throw those guys out there without them really understanding that. So for us, they can look. Our older guys, we can talk about, we talk about what does it take to be good to great. 5-3 in our league, guess what? That's good. It's probably not great. We had Coach Dressel do a leadership every year with us. And, what does it take to get great? And we can go back and look at last year, and we do. It stings that, we lost a home game against North Dakota at night in a game that, don't make mistakes. If we show up to play early, we don't spot them 14 points. If we execute on special teams, we don't get a block punt. If we execute our 2-minute offense, we have a chance to win the game. You go back on the road to Missouri State. If we execute on special teams, we don't give up long returns to put them in field position to score. If we stay in our gaps on 3rd and 18, we're not giving up a quarterback step up for a first down on a touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. So again, our kids, trust me, you got to study and learn from your past experiences. And we also understand we won some close games too. That could win either way. But I give credit to our kids because they have that grit, they have that fight to play for all 4 quarters. But you constantly got to learn. And in this league, you better win your home games, no matter who you're playing. If you're playing Valpo, playing Robert Morris, okay, you're playing, any team, Southern Illinois, you got to win. If you want a chance, you got to win your home games.
Chris said the same thing. We were good. We want to be great. That's good.
Yeah.
Great. Is that kind of like the theme this year that because of the success you had last year?
We talked about the process, and I hope our kids never look beyond this week. I hope they're not looking beyond our next practice, what we need to do to get, and that's part of the process. And, we read a book, during camp, it talked about the process. We talked about chop wood, carry water, and about the process that, how much is an inch worth? Well, an inch, how much? If your footwork's off, that ball's sailing overhead. If we have poor footwork on punt, chance it could get blocked. You have poor eyes as a corner on a certain play, you could get beat deep. So inches mean a lot. So we worked on that process, and it's about building your own house. What do you got to do to build your own house? And don't shortchange it. There's no shortcuts. Each and every day you got to come to work ready to build that house. So President Tressel, Coach Tressel, what we brought in when we did our seniors was, we talked about how do you take that good to great? And he talked about 2 things. It's bigger than ourselves. So you got to be selfless. If you think it's about you, you're wrong. The great teams, it's about a greater cause. It's about the community. It's about the university. It's about representing. It's about your teammates. And the second thing our kids realize is that every single person that touches our program is important. It's a person that cleans those locker rooms, cleans these halls, tapes your ankles, works with you in academics, works with you in the way. So, it's not just X's and O's that you're trying to get across in camp. But I think it's those little things and the mindset our kids have to know that it's bigger than yourself, to know that everyone's important in this program, to know the attention to detail. I mean, those are the things. You put a plan together. Now, guess what? We have 11 guaranteed games, and it starts this week, and there's no do-overs. And you hope that the plan you put together, is successful. And if there's mistakes in the plan, we'll find out. We'll get hit in the face, and we'll adjust, we'll adapt, and we'll come out better the next week. So that's kind of what has been in our talks when we're in meetings. And, everyone thinks it's X's and O's. I think there's a bigger picture, and I think that bigger picture is the growth and the step that I'm hoping we take this year.
Hey, Doug, unrelated, but related. I mean, you have two guys who can make NFL teams today.
Yeah. Have we heard anything?
I just checked Denver, and so far, so good.
So far, how about Mike? Yeah, so.
But to have two guys in this position, what's that?
Well, let's talk three. Let's not forget Andrew Ogletree. With the Colts. But yeah, I mean, and we talk about, I'll show highlights of those guys in our team, our guys, we talk about that. And those guys were living examples of what it takes. Jaleel was always first one here. Guess what you're hearing in Denver? He's first one in the facility. Yeah, we saw that for 3 years. Our kids have seen that for 3 years. Mike McAllister, he was a walk-on offensive lineman that had to work at where he is today. And to see those guys, it just gives our guys faith that, if you do the little things right, if you really care and you work and you develop, it's not going to be easy. You're not, those guys didn't get drafted. You got to go somewhere and you got to earn it. And to know that they have a chance to earn it, and if they do, I mean, to me, isn't that what Youngstown's all about? That you got to go and no one's giving you a chance, and those guys are going to prove it differently. And we're proud of those guys, and I'm hoping that end of the day today, I'll hear that Andrew, who, he's probably a starter or second teamer, and Jaleel and Mike McAllister, and, if we can get those guys, I think in the future, there'll be more guys coming from Youngstown State.